of vision in the next 2 to 3 years was to have 50 to 100 million ounces silver in inventory, as well as production. And this really accelerates that timeline.
Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, and excited to have Alex Langer and Greg Liller of Sierra Madre Gold and Silver, especially because they just had a deal they did last week acquiring the La Guitarra silver gold mine in Mexico from First Majestic Silver. That's a mine that Greg personally has a lot of experience with, and a nice deal that fits what you guys were aiming at with your objectives of getting into production soon. So congratulations on the deal. And Alex, perhaps you could walk us through the key details and how that came about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. No, we're super excited. As we mentioned a few times, our kind of vision in the next 2 to 3 years was to have 50 to 100 million ounces silver in inventory, as well as production. And this really accelerates that timeline and kind of shows that we have the right avenue to get there. So this mine, as you had mentioned earlier, Greg and Louis Sines, our Director of Exploration Development, as well as a few others, had been a part of kind of 2006 to 2009. And so we knew the opportunity. We feel it's one of the top silver mining districts in Mexico in terms of opportunity to really increase ounces. So we see this as a multi-pronged approach to kind of push towards that goal. We think the exploration potential is excellent. We feel we can really build ounces quite quickly. Beyond that, it's fully permitted. There are two, underground fully developed mines ready to go, as well as a 500 ton per day mining facility, which is quite rare to find. So having the combination of all three really, really excited us. First Majestic, they also really liked this project, and they believed in our vision and our history with the mine. They felt quite comfortable selling it to us. It was 35 million all in shares, because they do really want to be a part of this mine moving forward. They believe in it, and again, recognize our vision on how we want to proceed and move forward. So it was a really good synergistic agreement with both parties are extremely thrilled to be a part of.
Yeah, and Alex, could you comment a little more on First Majestic's involvement? I think there were some people who were wondering, why is First Majestic letting go of this, although they're remaining as part of the deal, and perhaps you could touch on that.
Absolutely. So First Majestic, I think, produced about 29 million ounces of silver equivalent last year, which is incredible. So the La Guitarra mine, when it was in production last in 2007, 2008, was producing kind of around 1.2 million to 1.5 million ounces of silver. So it really doesn't move the bottom line for them. I know it's Sandy Mas, they're producing over 1 million ounces a year of a month of silver. So significantly wise for a company of their size, it really doesn't move the needle. So they wanted to get a bit more value out of it, and they felt that, with us and our development plan of putting in, quite a bit of capital in terms of exploration and upgrading the facility, now we have the opportunity to develop La Guitarra and the surrounding region into one of those larger operations, where First Majestic has some larger ones already, and now entrusts us to do the same thing with La Guitarra.
Well, that makes sense. And someone who's going to be heavily involved in doing all that, Greg, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the deal, especially you've been involved with this project before. So what are you seeing now at this point going forward?
I've always felt that this is probably one of the largest undeveloped silver opportunities in Mexico. The eastern portion of the district, Luis Sines and I had just started putting drill holes in over there. We did develop one deposit, Santa Ana, Mina de Agua. And actually we had started a exploration ramp, underground ramp, that was really development size down on it. And after we left, there really wasn't much work done after we left in this eastern portion of the district. And again, this eastern portion of the district in Spanish colonial times was a very significant silver producer, and was one of the largest silver producers at various decades throughout the 16 and 1700s. So no, it was big, it was rich. They were very high grade mines. And Luis and I just started scratching the surface on that. So we'll focus a lot of our exploration efforts over there. The Guitarra and the Colosso mines are fully developed. The idea that we had when I was running Genco was a bulk tonnage open pit. I don't think the open pit is any longer a feasible thing to do. However, we're going to look at a mine plan involving bulk tonnage type underground mining. And I think there's a significant overlooked resource reserve that we can quantify in fairly short order. Our plan is really a three-prong approach. In the near term, we need to get out a updated 43101 resource estimation, and that will be primarily on the Colosso and Guitarra mine areas. We will bring the Eastern District in what drilling's been done over there into a new resource estimation. And in doing so, we'll be examining that bulk tonnage concept for underground. At the same time, we're going to be doing our exploration and development, the eastern portion of the district. And the third opportunity here is the tailings. There's over 2 million tons of tailings. It's grading around a 0.5 gram gold and a little over an ounce per ton silver. First Majestic did do a lot of work on reprocessing that. And the data looks good on that. So we'll have to do some additional economic studies to see if that's a viable opportunity. Right now, mining equipment, underground mining equipment is in short supply, and the lead time for new equipment is over 2 years. But that kind of works to our advantage because that gives us 2 years to bring everything together as far as these three different areas go. And we can also bring a mining contractor in. One of the contractors that worked for me here, he's still around, and I found out yesterday he actually is doing some work for First Majestic. So I'll be contacting him and seeing if he can wants to help out again. But the idea being with that lead time for our own mining equipment, we can get a lot of development done underground at the Eastern Eastern District mine, and the Guitarra bulk tonnage, kind of a long hole type situation for vertical crater retreat. The one thing Guitarra has always suffered from was lack of development in front of the mine. When I took it over, we essentially had no development. We were scrambling to fill the mill at a half capacity. I know when Silvermex and Genco merged, and Silvermex brought it back into production after a labor dispute, they were always just scrambling to feed the mill. And looking at some of the production stuff during the First Majestic time period, it was kind of a similar situation. So be nice to have a year's worth of development in front of you, ready to go before you flip on the switch at the mill. That way you can very logically develop, standardize your feed, and it just makes life a lot easier.
Well, it seems like a good timeline you've set in place. And along with that, Alex, perhaps you could touch on, last question here, that you have the fully permitted for what you're doing there, which also makes things a bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though permitting in Mexico is pretty straightforward, as we've noticed with some of our other two projects, Tepic and La Tigra, is that it's merit-based as opposed to being politicized usually. So as long as you do everything correctly, you can get your permits. What's nice is we already have permits, so we don't have to, spend the cost to doing that. Environmental, has been done. First Majestic has done an incredible job environmentally and socially within the area. So again, if we ever wanted to increase the permits or perhaps add new permits or make them larger, we have that ability to do that as well. But again, it just really speeds up those timelines and takes the risk out of the project as well for investors. Having de-risking projects are huge, especially when you start going into institutions and things like that, where they need to see a certain amount of de-riskment, I guess, within the company and the project. This just, again, ticks off one of those boxes for us.
I might add on the permit end of things. First Majestic, after they shut it down, they continued with their permitting, and we actually have a 5.8 million ton capacity tailings facility permitted. It has to be built, but it's a double lined dry stack tailings facility. So I mean that should take care of our tailings needs for the foreseeable future. That's for sure.
Well, it sounds like it's a good fit for what you're doing. Certainly getting exposure to silver while the price is down, and certainly a lot of us thinking that there's a bright future ahead. So appreciate you guys checking in with the update. And Alex, could you let folks know if they'd like to get more information or have questions about the deal? How is the best way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to go to our website, Sierra Madre Silver, Sierra Madre Gold and Silver.com. We have our contact information there. My email address is up if anybody needs to get a hold of us or have any questions. We're also quite active on social media, so through Twitter or LinkedIn. We're easy to find, and look forward to any questions that people might have.
Well, I sure appreciate that. Alex Langer and Greg Liller, congratulations on the deal, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Good to see you again.